We're a go. All right. Tyler and Raffi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, good. Thanks for having us.
So what's kind of funny too is I've decided to grow out my hair as well. And I've said it in the past.
Growing everyone my hair.
Yeah, and your hair is longer than I've ever seen it on you. And
Yeah.
I've never gotten like below my eyebrows, and the way that my hair gets longer is it just does this instead of like goes down, and it just looks like a bowl on my head, and it drives me nuts. And then when I try to style it, it's like, what are you doing? And then Raffi, you had brought up you had a man bun, but then we got into the topic of Black people and their hair. And I've never heard a Black person talk about their hair before, and I'm super curious as far as like the maintenance routine goes with washing your hair, because you said you can't wash your hair as often. Meanwhile,
yeah, like as far as a shampoo, it's gonna be like once a week that I do it, and it's of course because of the oils. We just don't generate as many oils in our scalp and everything, so we've got to really let them soak in. And I even like add oils too. Like I'm not really using a lot of styling. I never have luck with that. And my hair is like, it's kind of hybrid between white and black, so it's a little less dry and all that. Gets more of like a waviness to it. So if I want to have it really curly, I have to curl it myself too. I'm in this weird in between space.
Yeah.
But yeah, like oils. That's always what I'm needing to add to my hair and everything like that, which can get kind of confusing or inconvenient with like putting on clothes and all that. I have to be very careful not to like let it get on my clothes, and I have like oil stains. And
those are the day-to-day struggles I don't think about.
Oh yeah. And I mean, of course, you probably know the whole trope, like not to touch a Black person's hair because they get like kind of sensitive about it. But I mean, I'm cool. I like to indulge people's curiosity if they want to touch my hair and stuff. But they kind of get a little.
Right. If a Black person touch another Black person's hair, is that okay?
I think like that they won't really mind.
Okay. All right. I like it. Next time I see you, I got to give you a little pat on the head, I think.
Oh yeah, of course,
just
man.
from a place of love.
I think you'll like the texture too, because it's like I said, it's okay. In between. Like it's kind of.
I like it. I like it. That's awesome.
Well, maybe I should ask about like white people's hair, because
have you heard?
You guys kind of. I just like know my mom in particular. She shampoos, like daily, and then like she'll condition pretty frequently too, and.
Okay.
Like it seems a bit like easier, of course, too, and like you can do more with it. But I get really into the chemical composition too of the hair itself and the differences, which is interesting.
Yeah. You have hair that is just thick like mine, where it doesn't go. It does, like there's some hair that's like more fine, that's lighter, that like just grows longer and it looks more flowy, And then you have like hair like mine where it's more like just like a thick, heavy, kind of like a soft bush in a way, non-pubic bush, right?
That's like my mom's too, because she's part native, and so she does have that thicker hair.
If I want my hair to look anything like remotely good, I have to wash it. If I go a day without washing my hair, it's just a mess. I don't have the struggle of having to watch out what I put on. If I'm going to stain my shirt, I don't have the oil issue. It's not too much maintenance, but this is also coming from a guy who had his head shaved throughout most of the summer. So, as time goes on, I might be able to maybe relay some more messages to you of the daily struggles that I encounter because I have a white person's hair.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good to know.
What about you, Tyler? What's your thought, son?
Oh, well, my hair is unique because I went for like since I was like 24, I went completely bald on the top of my head, like completely bald. So all of this appears from the side and back of my head from 2 hair transplants.
And you got that in Turkey, right?
Turkey, yeah.
Wow.
So it's like impossible for me to speak to the norm because I lost my hair super early. The only time I remember having like good hair, like natural hair, was in high school.
Okay.
And I didn't take care of it at all. I was wearing hats all the time, or just
right.
Yeah.
Does it run in your family?
Product. No.
No. Okay.
Not really, unfortunately.
What's the journey of a hair transplant, and then like the difference with the hair that does come in and everything? I've always been really interested because I won't need one anytime soon, but I'm like, I might end up getting one later on in life, like just to like,
Yeah, I mean, I like it a lot. I love just kind of like when I got LASIK, I always wore glasses or contacts. When I wore contacts, my eyes would dry out. And if I forgot to take them out and I took a nap or something, they feel like they'd be glued to my eyeball. And then if I couldn't find my glasses in the morning, it's just this extra thing that you have to actually consciously think about every morning and evening and throughout the day. And then you get LASIK and all of a sudden you don't have any thought about anything. You can just see good all the time, and that's kind of how a hair transplant has been for me. Is I had to think about shaving my head every day or every other day, bicking it, or how I wanted it to grow to look decent. Or I went 5 years wearing a hairpiece, which basically I would get it a piece of like, it's like a scalp that you just glue to the top of your head, and then you have someone cut it so it looks natural. And every 4 weeks or so, you have to take it off, clean it, re-glue it, put it back on, make sure it's set so you don't have this crooked hairline.
Right.
And that was awesome because it looked amazing, especially when we were traveling. Like when we lived in Costa Rica, in particular, and Bali, it is so humid, and both of those places is just really hard to maintain.
Right.
Those areas. So that's why I ended up getting a hair transplant. And I was super scared at first because I was like, what if it looks really, I mean, it is thinner still. Like you can kind of see my scalp through it. When my hair's grown out and styled, like it looks fine.
It does look fine, yeah. It looks
Most
good.
people don't know, and I can throw on a hat and I don't have to think about it every 3 or 4 weeks. I just take a shower like normal. I usually will shampoo 3-4 times a week, use conditioner twice a week or something like that. I just go with the flow with it. And it's so much easier for me.
That hair on top of the head, it'll just grow, right?
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
And does it, I heard it like, it hurts for a little bit too, like after you get it done, or?
Yeah, the first week is miserable.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
it's
that's
less
good to know.
pain,
I just wanted to
actually.
hear from someone.
Yeah, it's less the pain and more the lack of sleep. Because the way you have to sleep, you have to sleep with this like travel pillow propped up so that the back of your head's not touching your pillow on your back, and I'm a side sleeper or a stomach sleeper. So just that shift in the way that I was forcing myself to sleep differently, which was unnatural alone, was very, very tough. And about 5 days to 12 days in, like it gets super itchy. Like when you have a really bad mosquito bite and you want to itch it.
Yeah.
You can't itch your head,
Right. Yeah, you can't.
And that's really tough because sometimes the itch gets really intense and lasts for like an hour.
Oh,
dang.
God, that would be terrible.
I know. I'd rather have pain than that.
Yeah. But then it's good. Then it's awkward. It's awkward for about like the first 4 months afterwards, though, because you kind of look funky.
Yeah, right. There's a little bit of like a growing process, I'm sure, right? Because are the places where the follicles are, is there like a scar initially or some sort of wound where they insert the follicle?
I think so, but I couldn't tell. Like I couldn't
Okay.
even tell after a week. Like I don't think anyone could see any scarring on me right now, even if I shaved my head.
That's
But
so
it's just
fascinating. And there's no center in the US that offers that?
there are plenty. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's just in Turkey in particular, they do so many procedures. They can get so many more follicles done in a day at about a third of the price of what I could find here in the US.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and the first time I had it done, I was living in Greece. So there's only an hour flight to Turkey. So it's
Okay.
really easy to get
Yeah.
done. The reason it
Right.
looks funny though is your hair after about a month, it like actually starts growing in, looking really good, like really quick. And then after about a month, it all falls out. And then you look bald again. and you start freaking out, like, this didn't work, what's going on? And it's just this anxious time period of the next 3 to 4 months after that where it slowly starts growing in and getting thicker, and then it looks okay.
Very cool.
Nice. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So one of the reasons why I had you on today is because you took a trip to Rythmia in Costa Rica. And for anybody that's listening for the first time, you and I, we met each other the first time that you had gone to Costa Rica in March of earlier this year, 2025. And, you know, you are, I think, the second person from the group that has taken their second trip, maybe the third, actually. And I really haven't gotten to talk to anybody that has gone back yet. You're the first one. And
Yeah.
I think it'd be great for our group to maybe watch this video and kind of, you know, hear your experience. And I'm excited to hear about it. And before we get too far into the whole experience, what was going through your mind this time approaching Rythmia compared to last time?
Oh, curiosity for sure. So the reason I went back, especially so soon, is when I was there, I bought gift cards. I bought 3 gift cards, which made it so I could go back for free. And my brother bought one of the gift cards, and my wife actually went about 2 months ago.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, which was really awesome for us, for her, you know, and we're obviously still in process. We got a lot of stuff we need to figure out, but it cracks something within you the first time you go, you know, and then you come back and you're cracked open and you're vulnerable and you have a lot of shit come at you. And it's like, dang, how do I maneuver through this new world where I know who I want to be, but everyone around me is expecting something different, you know, and that you're very sensitive, at least I was, when I came back, being myself and allowing myself, who I didn't even really truly know because I've been living a mask of a life my whole life, to really bloom, you know. So for me, the second time going, one was for my brother to help our bond, and he wouldn't go. There's no way he would go do that without someone he was comfortable with around him. But for me, it was the curiosity to understand myself better. The first time I went, it was like this mask of who I was ripped out from me. And I left feeling like this new peaceful baby, but I didn't leave feeling like I understood who I was. And so I went out, came back, and the integration process was like evolution after evolution after evolution, right? I'm super calm, and then I'm very hyper, and then I'm very focused, and on and on and on. And I'm giving myself and my family whiplash. Like, I don't know who you are anymore. You know, you're like, you're trying to figure out who you are, but you still seem just as lost, if not more lost than before you went the first time. And in a way, it was true. I didn't feel as numb. I didn't feel as depressed, but I didn't feel merged with me, you know? So going back the second time really was with that intention. And that's what I got, which is really awesome.
That's great. And, you know, I could see that while kind of watching your journey from afar when you had, you know, gone and done the peyote experience, vinyasa. I remember some of our conversations, you were still kind of stuck on, like you just mentioned, kind of finding yourself and finding that purpose. And that's something that I think about on a daily basis, is like, what is the purpose? Like, what's my purpose here in this life? You know, one small example that I can think of, and we'll get back to your story, but you know, I've had 4 kids in my lifetime, right? 1 with a girl in high school on accident, 3 with my children's mother. And the common thread that I hear as a man that is now single, that has 4 kids from his past, is, when are you going to get snipped?
Yeah.
And before Costa Rica, I was like, yeah, I have to get it done. But now I'm having these thoughts and this realization, for when we talk about purpose, is like, why was I put here? Why did God give me the ability to have kids on demand if I want to have a child? That's, for a lot of people, that's a struggle, and that was a gift that was given to me. And why is it then my decision to take away something that was a gift from my creator? And I felt like that was like a super powerful take. And, you know, like the biggest advocates of me getting SNP, of course, are my parents. They're like, when are you going to get it done? We're tired of this chaos. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, and all the time I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Now I'm thinking, I told them this like a week ago. I said, I hate to tell you this, but I was put here for a reason. That's to have kids. So, you know, like that's one of the gifts that I was given in life.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
And, like that's just like a small thing that I had just recently realized throughout, you know, still this integration, that it's still taking place today. So you're going into Rythmia with the curiosity, and you have an idea of kind of what you're going to do. You're going with your brother as well, and, you know, kind of maybe being like that safety blanket for him to make him a little bit more comfortable to do the experience. What next?
Yeah, good question. I want to touch on what you said. So I'm a guy who I have been snipped, right? Okay. I could go back if I want, but I don't have any calling for it. I'm just totally happy with my 3 kids. Yeah. And dividing my attention between them is right on that line for me, right? Yeah. I love them, and I love being able to provide what I can provide for them. So I don't have the desire for more. And it's totally individual. I think of the butterfly effect, right? And then the butterfly effect of the butterfly effect. And it's this infinite wave rippling that goes out across the universe, you know, which is totally incomprehensible. But for so much of my life, I tried to find meaning behind every aspect of my being and every aspect of my thought. If I had a thought, or if something happened, let's say getting snipped, right? Like, why did I do that at that time in my life? And what does that mean? And what if, right? And I did this drug in Costa Rica and I had this experience. What does that mean? And I'm trying to attach meaning to things that are truly incomprehensible. And what I have found the second time going to Rythmia, I think the biggest takeaway is, as things happen that I know are powerful and know are impactful, rather than sticking my mind and holding to it and ruminating, trying to figure out the meaning behind the being, I just let it go as the experience happens. And then it comes back later at the perfect moment with clarity, right? And without having to grab onto it. It's just like watching a sunset come and go.
It's like the integration that you're talking about too. That was immediately what I was thinking. It's just like, once I started to integrate things more instead of like hyper fixating on them, it worked out so much better in my own personal life. Yeah. It's like dancing for me. If I go into a room and I put on some music and I pressure myself and say, okay, I need to dance in this style right now, go. It doesn't work for me. I can't flow that way. You go sit out on the back deck and it's like, okay, I'm going to watch this amazing sunset, and you have expectation with it, then you're not going to be able to get, even if it comes the way that you expect, which is rare. It's not going to give you the sense of awe and peace as if you are just being and you appreciate and let things flow that come. And so to what you're saying, Jesse, with that may be perfect for you right now. And tomorrow you might wake up and have this clarity. Okay, time to get snipped.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so just appreciate the feeling that you have right now. Don't attach permanent meaning of your life behind it. Just know this is how I feel right now in this present moment. And that's enough.
Yeah. And as far as human design goes, I'll add in really quick, because I know that you've talked about human design too, Tyler. And right now we're going into a solar plexus mutation that's happening over the next few months, and really leading up to the cross of the sleeping phoenix coming in 2027. And it's like this first wave of this is about listening to your body. And so like the more that you can it really gets to what you were saying, the more that you can listen to your body, listen to your energy systems, be in tune with them. I mean, that's really what's going to guide. And then this even ties with the astrology too. North Node's the direction we're heading in life at the moment. And then South Node is kind of what we're leaving behind. North Node is in Pisces, the planet of spirituality. And it's about really just letting the universe guide you, the higher powers guide you. And then Virgo is very analytical, wants all the details right, and like everything to be planned out and all of that, like the worker bee and all that. And that's really what we're leaving behind. And this is still going on for the next like 8 months or so.
Dude, I love hearing you talk. I probably comprehend 5% of what you say, but it just hits me when you say it. I'm like, that feels right.
Yeah.
Feels good.
There's nobody that I know more than you, Tyler, that does pay attention to their body and listens to what their body tells them.
Thank you.
One specific example that I can think of, and I think it was a conversation we had 4 months ago. You had said something like, I woke up one morning and my body said, don't move. And I didn't move. I don't know if you remember that or not, but
absolutely.
You said, okay, after 45 minutes, I decided, okay, now I'm going to move. And not a lot of people think like that. And I think it's really cool how passionate you are about discovering yourself. And I just have to say, before you really get into your story, I think I'm paying you the ultimate compliment, and I have so much respect for your drive to find yourself, because you're investing in the most important thing in the universe, and that's you. That's yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say too, I think it's such an incredible synchronicity too that we crossed paths here and decided to go on together, because like that's something that I actually struggle with, and I'm leaning more into now, is listening to my body. And and even if you just want to look astrologically at my chart, my rising sign is Virgo, where the South Node is right now. So that rules the body, and it's just like that's like been a tough thing for me to let go of. But then conversely, you know, what you were saying that you struggled with, you know, with really knowing yourself and expressing yourself, and like not really having that facade, that's something I've never struggled with. So it's like this cool thing, like back and forth, that we can do going forward and talk to each other about, with just getting into that energy.
I love that. When I think of human design and all sorts of testing, and there's hundreds that I know of, different ways to get to know self. And I would say maybe a dozen of those are directive, like I have some belief in, right? And a lot of them I don't really have any belief in, kind of a placebo type concept to it, or it batches individuals into too broad of a group. And I love them, but I depended on them for so much of my life to help me define who I am, rather than diving deep into my soul and allowing that person to come up and emerge. And when that person comes up and emerges, it feels like a different person to me. I'm a very somatic person, meaning I get a lot of energy released through movement. So I'm pacing a lot, I'm dancing a lot, I'm yawning a lot, I'm humming a lot. And when I wake up, I'm stretching. You know that feeling when you wake up or before you go to bed, where your body just does it on its own.
Yeah.
You know, where a yawn comes and you can't control it, right? That is a somatic experience that feels permanent now for me. Like every second of every day, I can ground myself, tap into that, and let my body, let my intuition, let my higher self, let God, whatever you want to call it, actually move my body. And that's how I connect, is through movement. And it's a very powerful thing for me. And I don't think that is the case for everybody, but I really tapped into that this time at Rythmia.
It's so profound.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely getting to that point with listening to my body more. Like, you know, I can't act like I've always like loved dancing or anything, but the last like month or two, just because I consume so much information, like I won't listen to much music. I'm listening to like someone talk in the car or something. And I've really just gotten to this place where if I feel blocked up, so maybe I'm somatic too or something, but this was what'll be great about like touching base with you and bouncing it off of you and stuff. Like I've noticed that too, with like sometimes just 30 minutes of like dancing to music that I like in my room will just get me so fired up to really work on, you know, say an article I need to type on astrology that takes me 5 hours, you know?
Yeah. Totally. I'm glad you're finding that. And Jesse, you've heard me say this at least half a dozen times. I believe the method doesn't matter, right? Connection is connection. And the goal is finding that connection, and whether it's dancing, whether it's sleeping, whether it's meditating, whether it's going on a run, playing sports, talking to a friend, cussing, whatever it is, like however you release what's inside of you to find that connection, I'm pro that.
That's your new one, is cussing. You swear.
Yeah, dude, that was a big part. That was a big part of my time there. Actually, it was perfectionism. Maybe I'll touch on that real quick.
Would it be part of maybe your story on night 2, night 3, you think, or?
Yeah, probably leading up to night 2.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's hear about when you got in. How different or how similar was the experience when you got to Costa Rica? Was it you get on the shuttle, you check in? Did you do the? I'm trying to think of the day. Did you get there during the day, or did you get there? Is it the night prior? I forget.
Yeah, we got there Sunday early afternoon before the breathwork session. Almost the identical timeline as my first time.
Okay.
And it was interesting going for my second time and there was another person who was on her second time, and then my brother for his first time. And I felt like I was in the middle. I knew that I had a lot to learn, so I wasn't like overly confident. Where I felt like some people there were felt like they were pros, right? Oh, I've done this before. I know exactly. I didn't feel that. I felt like just this calm, okay, I'm ready to surrender. But every day was different for me the first time. And so I knew that day 5 was going to be different than my first 4 days. So I was like, people would ask me what to expect. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Because it's different every time, they say, right?
It is different every time. And it was different every time for me then too.
Yeah.
So the first night, I'll just jump to it. And then you stop me anytime, all right? Like anytime you have questions or anytime you have thoughts that you guys want to say.
Don't give me too much power.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I'll be silent. No, just kidding. So the first night, the first time I was just puking and throwing up a lot. I was really backlogged.
Okay.
Daniel's my brother who I went with. We did like a 3-day fast and then 2 weeks very strict diet ahead of time. And that really helped both of us go in unclogged, like physically. With stuff.
Right.
And so the first night I really was just laying on the bed, and I started getting restless about 2 hours in. I just got up and started dancing. And most of my night, the first night, was just dancing, just getting in touch with my free self. And my dance is crazy, right? Like it just even throughout a song, I feel like the best way to explain it is, have you guys seen like Avatar Airbender, like that anime?
Long time ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're familiar with like the
recently I've been seeing clips of it too, and I hadn't seen clips in forever, but recently I've been seeing a lot of it.
Even the Avatar, the one that's like, there's a new one coming out, I think next month or something like that. Like they go through progressions of different elements: earth, water, air, and fire.
Yes.
And as they're airbending, it's like a dance, kind of like Tai Chi that they do. They kind of have to do movements in order to like use their powers. Right. And earth is very masculine, right? A lot of pounding, sharp movements. Water is very feminine, very flowy.
Okay.
And most water benders are women and most earth benders are men. And ironically, in that show, the earth bender that Aang learns from is a woman, and the water bender is a man and a woman. So, and then air is like all about creativity and fun, right? It's like very spontaneous. And then fire is like structure and passion. They're always ahead on technology. They're always about doing deals, very entrepreneurial, and they follow their angers and their joys very closely. Like they're very in tune with their passions. And what's funny is as I was dancing that first night, I felt myself flow through these different elements, and my body would start flowing and even become feministic, which scared me a little bit because I'm a man, right? And I was like, what does this mean for me? And then I'd go into like this warrior movement, and then air, which was just like fun, just kind of all over the place, and then fire, like very intense, or sweating a lot, And so it was a great first night, but then about 3/4 of the way, I just got really sick and went and laid down. and threw up, and I just felt miserable the whole rest of the night. And I really started thinking about my perfectionism. That's what kept coming up for me, is uh, how I have felt a need to be perfect. Like my goal in life was to strive to reach godhood, essentially, while I'm living here on earth, like, and I think a lot of it came from my religious upbringing. I started having memories, and this went into the second night. I'm just going to jump right into it because they really flow together, right?
Yeah, continue.
As I went into the second night, I didn't really dance. I just was still in this sick place. And as I was laying down, I was just restless. My foot was twitching. My arms were twitching. I'm trying to relax. My breath is calm, but my body's kind of freaking out. And I don't know how to relax. Like, I just cannot figure it out. And I even go out, get some blessings. I ask for some help. And I'm like, I just can't relax. And I remember the helper's like, it's easy. You just choose to relax and then you can relax.
Great answer.
I can force myself to lay down, but I can't force my muscles to relax, and my mind to relax. And it's so stupid to say, but I realized so clearly that was my default in life. Was even when I go to bed at night, like, I can go to sleep eventually, but there's tension inside of me that I'm taking into my sleep. And I wake up exhausted, and that tension is always there. And it just has led to an exhausting life. I've never been able to nap because the tension's there, right? And then I get exhausted, and then I turn to caffeine. I turn to whatever I can get to help pull that exhaustion out of me. And I couldn't figure out how to let the exhaustion leave on its own. And so as I get toward the end of the second night, I actually did something called rapé or hape.
Yes, which is the tobacco you snort.
Yeah, like tobacco up both of the nostrils. And that really helped. It like kind of hit a reset button, and I immediately started crying really hard. And I was able to go lay down and just kind of relax for the first time in 2 nights. Even when I was dancing, I wasn't relaxed. I got to the point where after a couple hours of dancing, like, I was in tune with myself, but I was still exhausted,
Yeah, you were bending earth in the air.
Yeah, exactly. As I was moving a lot of energy around and releasing a lot of energy.
Yeah,
exactly. It was healing me in a way, but I wasn't recovering. And I only had like 2 hours of sleep that first night. So anyway, I go into this second night, and then I kind of fall into this lucid dream where I remember just, you know what? I'm getting all my days mixed up because this is actually on the 4th day.
Okay.
But I remember just feeling really, really, really scared.
On the 4th night?
On the 4th night. And I'll get there. I'll come back. And that's where this exhaustion came from.
Okay.
On the 3rd night,
which would be
women's night.
Women's night. Yep.
Yeah. My dancing, I got up and I danced a lot. In fact, the shamans were asking me to dance often, right? They're like, you bring an energy to the dance floor that I think is healthy for the whole room. And so I felt this pressure to dance. Even when I felt sick, I was dancing.
Right.
And, but my dance started to move to like this, like, feminine movements, which I've never done before. I'm like touching myself, puffing my chest out. I'm getting all flowy. I'm like, this is kind of weird, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Like it's releasing something in me that I need to release.
Right.
And by the end of that night, I got really, really sick, and I went and laid down, and that's when all the perfectionism started to come in. I had a memory with my dad ultimately, but let's see how do I get there? I had a memory first of a personal assistant that I had who I really admired, but who was pretty overweight and had a lot of mental issues that she wanted to help, like, solve. And so I took it on myself, as she was doing a good job being my personal assistant, to kind of mentor her and help her. And I remember one day it was like 2 p.m. and there was nothing left to do. So I told her to go home, and without even thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, go on a walk, get some fresh air. She took that. really the wrong way, which I can see why, but and then
Yeah,
she
right.
sent me a text later that was meant for her husband, where she's like, yeah, screw Tyler. He told me to go on a walk, and instead I'm eating this bowl of ice cream and smoking a bowl of weed, and I just felt so hurt.
Yeah.
I'm like, here I
Right.
am, like, giving all of my love,
Mm-hmm.
and like I feel hurt, I feel like abandoned, and then I had this stream of all of these memories where that's happened in my life, past business partners, businesses that I've been consultants for, um, people who've worked for me in the past, where I give them everything that I can, and then they suck up what they can, and then they discard me at the end, and that's not really the reality, but that's what I felt in the
Yeah.
moment.
Right.
And then I went back to my dad, who 6th grade, he took me to a restaurant called Eddie's. And I remember that whole scene like crystal clear in my mind, of him just kind of railing on me, like I was valedictorian. The preface was I wasn't getting good grades because I wasn't turning in my homework, but I was acing the tests. I had great attendance, and my teachers loved me because I was just like this happy, smart kid.
Yeah. Right.
I wasn't distracting at all. Right? I just didn't turn in my homework. I was the guy, the teacher would hand out the homework. I would do it, shove it in the bottom of my backpack, and I'd be done with it by the time class was over. And I just would never think to turn it in.
Yeah.
I was just like, I obviously get this material. I'm good, And during that conversation with my dad, I just started feeling really, really, really guilty. And I had this realization that, man, my worth is not in who I am. My worth is in what the people around me who I admire expect from me. So my job is not to be me. My job is to figure out what the people around me want, and then cater to that to give them a sense of achievement, and then they will accept me. And that became a big part of the way that I lived my life.
Would you
a lot
say
of perfectionism in my life?
would you say that you identified that as your split?
Yeah, I had multiple splits. That was my first one. I probably had 4 or 5 different splits.
Now, did you identify any splits on your first visit?
No, I had these moments where things were torn from me, but the memory of childhood never came. Like I could think of something and I could correlate it,
Right.
but it wasn't like a merge moment.
Sure.
Right? I had like, on the first visit, I had these moments where I was like my mom cuddling me as a kid,
I remember. Yeah. Yeah.
but I didn't have a memory associated with that merge, right? So I had a split here, a merge here, but they weren't together.
Yeah.
And this time I did.
Okay. So that was one of the many that you had. Was that the first one?
Yeah, I think that was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so funny
to hear about that you have like these. It's interesting to hear about that you have like the splits and merges within this experience and everything like that. And it's like, I would assume that like a split is like a moment where you almost like compromised your authenticity within, or like the truth within yourself. And then the merge is kind of like reintegrating or like refinding that. Is that correct?
Here's another example of a split. Is this story was told at Rythmia the first time that Tyler and I were in a class together. It could be a good thing or a bad thing. There was a girl who was grabbing some dishes in the kitchen for dinner one night, and one of the dishes cracked and fell on the floor. And instead of mom yelling at the daughter for breaking a plate, mom was so sweet and so nice about it. Like, oh, don't worry about it, honey. We'll take care of it. That girl that experienced that at the age of 6 years old felt like she was never worthy enough ever again for somebody because mom treated her so well. So a split is inevitable in everybody's life, whether it's good or bad, a good or bad experience. And there's many, like one of mine, for instance, you witnessed it firsthand. Us going to high school together was me knocking up Stephanie and running away. Like that was a big one for me.
Yeah.
And that spiraled a lot of things throughout my 20s that I wasn't able to close the gap on until, I got back. So that's a couple examples.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I am interested in doing this, you know, like,
Yeah.
are you ever really, is your ego ever really ready to do it? So I don't want to say like when I'm ready, but
Right.
you know, it is something
When it calls you.
I have an eye on, especially just with seeing, with meeting Jesse and then seeing your experience too, Tyler. Like it's called me to it a bit more, but keep going.
Right. Yeah. And it'll call you strongly when it's ready to call you. You know, that's the biggest thing for me coming back. I was like this eager guy wanting to go share everyone. And I wasn't even as changed as I feel now, but now I feel like, wow, I have so much more change to go. But coming back the first time, I'm like, I'm set, I'm good, you know?
Yeah.
The way I would define the split is you have your authentic self, right? Which is very, very authentic as a child. Something happens where a feeling comes up in your body that makes you not feel safe being authentic. And safe may not be the right word, maybe angry, maybe hurt. There's dozens of different emotions that can make you feel like it's not okay to be you. And then you split, right? You split onto a different version of self, which isn't authentic. And what happens, what naturally wants to happen is you want to come back and re-merge with your authentic self. But as you come back to it, feelings come up that replicate the feelings that you had, which caused the split in the first place. So with me as a kid, I felt uh, that I couldn't be authentic because people got value out of me based off of accomplishing what they wanted rather than being me. Right. And so that was a split. I felt guilty being me and not doing what other people wanted. I also felt betrayed when I would be fully authentically me and then feel like someone took advantage of me and discarded me at the end, right? Both of those feelings, boom, caused a split from being authentic. And as I was come back to try to be authentic, all these feelings would bubble up in my body again. I'd feel guilty. I'd feel all of these emotions that didn't really have any justification. They just came up randomly at random parts throughout the day as I would try to come back to authenticity, which would like repel me back out, and eventually it just gets wider and wider. So the split is going back to maybe the core or a memory that gives you that replication of feeling and helps you feel safe in feeling those emotions and allowing them to come up and through you and actually release from you, which then allows you to cover that gap emotionally to come back to your authentic self in the moment. And the merge is when you go back to that memory and you're that child and you're either you or you're your parent or you're your highest version of yourself. Something else comes into that moment. Basically what happened with me is it was the highest version of me that went back and just put my arms on my sixth grade self, looked myself in the eyes like, hey dude, you are amazing, you are perfect, like come here, just give me a big hug, you know? And like I would physically do it and I would feel both the love that I was giving as my highest version of myself, and I felt the peace that I needed in the moment as a kid merged. Felt both at exactly the same time. And it gave me such an immense feeling of peace, love, and also so much hurt, you know? And I thought of my kids and how, man, I've been doing the same thing to my kids as my dad accidentally did to me. I've been pressuring them. I've been trying to make them perfect. I've been trying to correct them way too much. Like I need to go. I just wanted to leave right then. I just need to go cuddle up in my bed with my kids and just like until they fall asleep and just keep saying, "Oh, you're okay. You're perfect. Like you're so good. Like don't let me ever tell you otherwise," you know?
I wish, because what you're explaining right now is a process that can't be replicated in any way in the United States. Is you're breaking a generational run of maybe the way that your family has treated their sons throughout the bloodline, right?
Mhm.
We talked about your purpose earlier, what your purpose is, and maybe one of your purposes in life is to break that run of maybe that trauma that had created what turned into you up leading up to Costa Rica, right? And I'm going to go back to the point. There's nothing in America that offers any sort of medicine or remedy for these issues. And I'm seeing it.
Yeah, there can. I think the method doesn't matter, but man, you have to be so open, and
you
people are
do.
so preconditioned. It's hard to break away, you know.
It is. And like they're beginning to experiment with ibogaine in Texas, making it legal, and some other states, which is really cool. But I just wanted to point out what a shame it is that a lot of people have to go to a different country to kind of find that secret sauce, so to speak.
Well, how awesome that it's available and it's legal. You know, they have all the credentials. Like it's very safe. Like I'm so grateful, grateful for that.
It's an amazing space. It saves so many lives. You know?
And I don't think it has to be ayahuasca. I think I did actually coming back. I'm like, man, everyone needs to do this. You know, I'm like, I don't think so. I think everyone can. It really comes down to being in tune to your feelings, being able to be aware of them, sitting with them comfortably, like with total equanimity. You know, you don't see it as good or bad. You just see it as it is. Being patient with it, allowing those feelings to come up and release, allowing the memory to come and then merge. You know, and ayahuasca just chemically does it so perfectly.
Yeah.
So perfectly that it's like you're on a ride. You know, can you do it on your own? Absolutely. Can you do it with therapy? Absolutely. But it's really hard to experience something that you've never experienced, no matter how much you listen to it. It's like trying to taste what an apple tastes like without tasting an apple. It's so paradoxically confusing. And the only way to understand what an apple tastes like is to taste an apple. But that is what really needs to happen. We need to let these feelings go without ever experiencing the process of what that surrender really feels like. You know, and ayahuasca just really bridges the gap. It's like someone that comes and holds your hand and says, hey, I'll do it with you. I've been through this infinite number of times. You know, I know it's really confusing for you. Just relax, stay with your breath, and I'll teach you how. You know, that's what ayahuasca felt like for me.
Yeah, I had a discussion with somebody in the field, you know, in the US that does like drug counseling and therapy. And I had brought up the idea of psychedelics as being an assistant to kind of help with breaking the trend of addiction. And that drug counselor's answer was, I wish every single one of my clients went through the ayahuasca process. You know, and it's just been, it's recorded to be incredibly impactful. And I just, it comes with, again, with open-mindedness. And you are correct. You don't necessarily need it to get to where you're going, but it helps your hand along the way. And our ego is the strongest thing inside of us until we realize what our ego is. And when you can set that aside, and that's where I thought ayahuasca assisted me most, was it told my ego to take a back seat.
Yeah.
You're not in control. It's
or just go on a vacation the whole time.
Yeah, exactly right.
We're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing, because your ego is like still up. Because I would say like there's a couple of those like splits I've identified and merge. I'm sure there's plenty more, but it's like like you're saying, you can do it without it, but like your ego is still there and it's going to get in the way. And that's why I'm kind of like, I really like eventually want to try something that really just makes my ego step aside, because it is such a strong ego. And it's like, you know, I want to see what actually comes up in that state.
Yeah. Right. Totally. I love that. That's well said too.
All right, let's move on.
Well, do you want me to jump into a couple more splits I have?
Yeah. Let's keep going here.
All right. So at the end of the third night, women's night, you know, I don't know if you remember, I talked about kind of this exorcism moment where my body just starts thrashing and they had to take me outside and all this stuff. That happened again on the third night to a slightly lesser level because I was surrendered to it. I wasn't fighting it. But I just needed to get all this energy out.
Yeah.
And same thing happened where I'm like spitting a lot. It was a full moon. Ironically, this is crazy. It was a full moon where that happened the first time, and it was the full moon where it happened the second time. Okay. And I was in the same bed in the Maloka, same spot. So it was kind of wild. you know? Now I'm not attaching meaning to that being. It was just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
All of that was the same.
Similar settings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so after that, I got so much energy out from all the thrashing that when I went back inside, I felt relaxed and I was able to just relax. And I started talking to myself in my head. And I started talking to myself the way that I realized that I talked to myself, that I was unconscious, that I was talking to myself that way. And I realized that I talked to myself very, very negatively, right? Like, and like, you need to work harder. Why can't you do this right? You need to do this faster. Like, if you're meditating, you need to sit up perfectly straight. Don't move a muscle. You know, you slouch, you failed, right? Like, everything that I do in life, I'm extremely critical because perfection has been my goal. That when I don't achieve it, which is always every day, multiple times throughout the day, I'm really beating myself up.
Right.
I realized, man, I wouldn't talk to my kids this way. Oh wait, sometimes I do talk to my kids this way. Sometimes I do have unrealistic expectations, impossible standards for them. And I hold myself to a higher standard times 1,000 from the hardest time I've ever been on my kids, you know? And I just felt really hurt. I felt like, wow, I am aware that I really talk to myself this way. And I asked myself, like, how do I really talk to myself, like, language wise? And I realized that up to that point in my life, I'd never said a swear word ever. I think there was one time I said the word bastard because I didn't know what it meant, you know, and then my mom or someone
I had a similar experience. Yeah.
You know, and so, but then I like, for the first time ever in my life, is like a plug came out and I'm like, okay, this is the way you talk to yourself. You are a fucker. You are a fucking fucker. You fuck everything up, you fucker. And I said this quietly.
Yeah. Right.
And then I got louder and louder. And I was just like, and it's just like this backlog of all of these emotions.
All your fucks. Yeah.
All of these emotions that I've held in my whole life just came out all at once. I was like, fuck. And it's just like, everything was releasing everything through my words and not through my body, you know? And then my brother came back and the ceremony was over. And I laid after the third day for like 2 hours to get another blessing. And I was talking to my brother and he was just laughing at me. He's like, I've never heard you swear ever before, you know?
Right.
And it like really opened up our relationship because he was able to share things in his life that he never felt comfortable sharing with me because I've been so guarded when it comes to swearing. That was one thing in my life that I had been quote unquote perfect on.
Yeah.
You know, that I never allowed myself to be imperfect with. And it was a really healing moment for me to be like, fuck perfection.
Yeah.
I can be imperfect and I can start over again and I can still work and progress. Like, perfection doesn't need to be the goal, but that doesn't mean that I can't strive to be better, you know, and I had to disassociate perfection from being a better person, you know, and that was really healing for me. And my brother, that night, we stayed up all night long. We were just laughing so hard, like all the jokes.
Yeah, you had one of those. Yeah. Those are always fun.
Yeah,
I got 2 points off of what you said. Part of my integration experience, when you say you're talking negatively to yourself, I think Raffi may remember this. When I started taking my public speaking classes, my first assignment was to talk good about myself for 90 seconds. And I went for about 40 seconds, and then I would list off maybe a good thing about me. And then I would balance it out with, well, it's actually not that great. And I couldn't go the final 30 to 40 seconds of talking good about myself. And I, at that point, had the realization, like, we talk about the person that matters most is yourself, invest in yourself, right? And the person that is me is the person that is hardest on myself and that says the most negative things to me. And I hear every single word of it. If somebody goes and talks behind my back, maybe I don't hear every single word of it, but I hear every single word of it because it's coming from inside of me. And it's a very negative thing, but it's also very natural because we're in a society where it also doesn't it doesn't pay off to just be confident all the time. So sometimes you don't want to come across as not confident, but cocky all the time. And it gets mixed with confidence. Right.
Right.
So
Mhm.
it's like, it's definitely this balance, but I would encourage you, if you want to do it right now on the spot, try 90 seconds of talking only good about yourself.
Oh, I know I can do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can time
That
you if you
said,
want
I
to.
have a lot more I wanna share about Rythmia, so we can do
Okay.
it, but
Okay.
it might be better if we share more of my story. Your call.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We can do that
Maybe
before.
let's do Raffi for 90 seconds. That would
Raffi
be
already did it
Oh,
in 90 seconds on the
yeah, he
show
did it to
like
me.
a
You
couple months
did?
ago. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't watch that part. Dang it, I need
The
to watch that part again.
the last point I was going to bring up was the idea of swearing words.
Mm,
We give words so much power, don't
mhm.
we?
Yeah.
My son, for instance, he's going to be 10 years old. He throws around the F word, like, I can't, other parents, when they hear him do it, they look at me and I'm like, I
It's
don't
him.
know what to
Yeah.
tell you. That's who he
Yeah.
is, like,
Mhm.
and he uses it correctly, by the way. And like when he throws a fucking in, it's done correctly and it's done really well.
Yeah,
And you're laughing at this, but sometimes when you're talking to somebody and you're trying to get a point across, obviously you don't overuse it, and he doesn't overuse it. He strategically places it in his sentences where it becomes incredibly impactful.
yeah.
And that's a tool.
Yeah.
It sounds stupid because it's my little 10-year-old, but it's a tool. And then like my 8-year-old daughter on the side, she tries throwing it in. It's like, Izzy, stop. It doesn't work.
You're failing.
Yeah, like you can't put it there,
Yeah.
so
My
um
my 7-year-old's favorite song is Vampire. I think Olivia Rodriguez. I don't know if that's her name, but
okay.
anyway, there's a part in the song where it's like, "Soul sucker." Oh, no. And then it's something fucker, I can't remember. My 7-year-old, every time, it's like, "Oh, can I sing that? Can I say that word?" And my wife and I always just, like, look at each other like, I don't know,
Yeah,
Like,
right.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, it is funny. I do think that moderation in all things is important, right?
Yeah,
And not being dependent on anything, drugs,
right.
people, your
Mhm.
environment,
Yeah.
uh,
We were talking about that earlier, Jesse. Yeah.
words,
Mhm.
and I do think a lot of people depend on swear words as just a filler,
To
right? Like,
carry
they
their
can't speak
yes.
for 90 seconds without swearing, right? It's
Yes.
just,
Yes.
and I think that anytime you become dependent on anything, there's a check and balance that is healthy to take place, right? And
Exactly.
don't let it control you. You
Mhm.
control it,
Yep.
right? But when you stuff it away in a closet to hide because you feel shame, right? That's the other end of the spectrum, and that's the spectrum I was living on my entire life.
Right.
Yeah, it just
I
kind of like bubbles up and stuff. I've recently had this realization with rage and anger, and not
Mhm.
even a reactive type, although that's included in it, of course, but just like when it springs up in me and like I would suppress it, and then it
Mhm.
would cause me to break out and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And like now I found healthy ways to actually channel it. And that's just a
Awesome.
part of me is that it comes up sometimes, and I can use that energy for things. I can use it for the gym. I can use it to like do work. I can use it for things, but
yeah.
I used to just like have such shame around it. And then I
Yeah.
would just really pack it down. And then it
Yeah.
just like eventually, yeah.
Totally. Dude, totally. You're like expressing the entire process of ayahuasca. The whole thing is about non-suppression,
Mhm.
breaking that cycle of suppressing emotions that we feel to allow them to really come up and through us. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Night 3, we talked about your split.
Oh, so this is something different. For anyone who is going to Rhythmia the second plus time, you still have your 3 intentions,
Yeah.
But the second time they have something called the 9, right? Like if you feel you've got these 3 intentions, they give you 9 other intentions to focus on. And I don't remember what they all are, but rewrite my DNA, forgiveness for all, uh, dropping other people's perceptions of you, dropping your perceptions of others, dropping your perceptions of yourself. And there's a few more I can't remember, but they were really good.
Wow.
And I felt that night when I felt like my DNA was being rewritten. I felt like my body after the thrashing I was just laying down on bed, as I was thinking how I was talking to myself, I felt like my body was melting, and then re-merging, right? And that's when I started saying these words out loud. It's like I felt like I was a different person. Like I didn't need to feel the shame that I once felt, and that was a really cool experience. But I didn't realize how many splits and merges I need to have. So on the fourth night, this on my second cup, when I went to get the ayahuasca, my cup fell over.
Was it Yahe, by the way?
Yes, it was Yahe. Okay. Yeah, it was after the second cup. The cup fell over. So when I went to go get my second cup, after the first one, my cup fell over, and the ayahuasca like was down on the edge of the cup, and I remember touching it and feeling kind of slimy, and like feeling kind of grossed out. Like I need to go wash my hands. Like I felt this huge urge to, I need to take care of this. This is not good. So I remember getting out of line. I gave up my spot, which is like when you're in line to get the ayahuasca, it's kind of like that's your sole focus, right? I remember leaving and wiping my hands on my sheets and cleaning off the cup. Like it was a really big, important thing for me. And I didn't really think anything of it until later. And then I got my second cup and I laid down, and again, this exhaustion came back, right? And I just like, this restlessness came back, and I couldn't relax. And eventually got to that space where I had this realization, and it came through memory again of, wow, I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe. And that's something that I've never really said out loud before, ever in my life. Like, and I didn't realize that I had a really, really, really deep feeling inside of me of feeling unsafe. And it wasn't unsafe like someone is going to come kill me, or how I would think of unsafe being. It was feeling unsafe being me, right? As I come back to being my most authentic self, I physically inside of me feel unsafe and feel extremely scared. And I asked myself, why is that? Like, why I feel freaked out right now. Like I feel the same thing as when I was a kid. I watched a movie called The Ring. And there's this little girl with black hair covering her face, and her arms are out like this, and she's like walking toward the person. As like a little 5-year-old, I was freaked out.
That's way too young to see that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I remember like cuddling under my blankets. Like I was that scared,
Wow. Yep.
And they were doing all sorts of blessings on me, and I was just like shaking. I was just like freaking out. Like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. I never, ever felt that as an adult, ever.
Yeah.
I think that would start to come up, and I would just suppress it so comfortably that this was the first time as an adult I ever remember that feeling coming up. And then after one of the blessings, I remember they did this blessing with like this needle thing where they were like whipping me with this plant. It felt like needles hurt me. I'm like, why are you hurting me? Why are you hurting me? That hurts. That hurts. That hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that a lot of people, when they try to help me, I take it as pain. And I push people away because I feel unsafe. And the memory that came to me, and this was crazy because I've had this memory dozens of times a year, but I never like actually sat with it, was when I was either in kindergarten or second grade, one of the two. And I was playing at recess, playing soccer. And I remember someone coming and just grabbing me, dragging me over to a soccer goalpost and slamming my head against the goalpost, and it cracked the back of my head open.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to the office, and there was a point, a decent amount of time, where the teacher took me to the office and left the room.
Right.
And my parents hadn't arrived yet, and I was completely all alone with blood on my fingers. And that's when I realized that, like, as I was having this memory, like the ayahuasca that was on the cup felt exactly like the blood.
No shit.
And it just bring it all back.
Holy shit.
Bring it all back. I was like, well, I'm so scared.
I'm scared right now listening to that. That gave me goosebumps. Seriously. That's absolutely wild.
Yeah, I got chills.
Yeah, I did. My
so it's like you're tapping into something. It's just like, damn. And it's making me consider things, like that I hadn't thought of. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, things that I probably never would have consciously thought of without a drug to help me make those connections,
So when you had that realization, what went through your mind? What does the other side of this look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things went through my mind, honestly. Like that split led to a lot of things that I told about myself, right? But the biggest one is I'm not safe being me, because when I am me, I'm going to get hurt. And I've experienced that since that moment. Every time that I'm authentic, if I dance, right, and I do a wild dance, someone laughs at me. Okay, it's not safe. I don't like that feeling
Of somebody laughing at you,
right? Yeah, I feel insecure, right? It's better for me to be who they want me to be than for me to be who I want to be, because it's just not safe to be me. And it hurt. Like, I was crying really hard. I felt a lot of anguish for myself, and I had to get it out. I cried for hours. It felt like, who knows how long I really cried, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
It was just like shaking, like a little kid. And then the merge thing happened again, right? And it was the same person. It was me. This one wasn't me as a higher self. It was just me physically, like who I was right then in the present.
Right.
Going into just hold myself in the office. It's like, I'm so sorry. So sorry I left you alone. You don't have to be alone anymore. I'm right here.
Yeah.
I'm right here.
Right.
And I grabbed a pillow and I was just cuddling with the pillow.
Yeah.
Like, it is me. Yeah.
Right.
And I remembered in that moment when I was sick one time, I was really sick. And I remember my mom and my dad both coming in, sitting on the edge of my bed and just rubbing my head. And they gave me everything that they could give me. But I remember thinking, and I didn't say this, and I wish I would have as a kid, because I know they would have given it to me and I wouldn't have a negative connotation toward it. But what I remember feeling was, can you just lay down in bed under the covers with me so I feel safe and feel like you're never going to leave me? Just stay with me until I feel better.
Yeah.
That's what I need right now. So I was able to tell myself that, hey, I'm not leaving you. I'm never leaving you. Like, because that kid is inside of me still,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I'm
that's
pushing that kid away. That's that person. Every time that feeling of being scared came up, I'm like, you're an adult, you shouldn't be feeling this way. Get out of here. And it's like I was kicking that kid to the curb, who just needed to be cuddled, needed to be held until they felt better. And so I was able to feel both of those emotions at the same time until I like felt healed,
definitely.
Go ahead, Raffi.
It's making me think of some work I actually was recently deciding to get back into, which was a lot of it's like Kierkegaard's work and a lot of his contemporaries. But there was a guy named Michael Sarian who does like astrotheology. One of the first people I found when I awakened and everything, and he talks about both with men and with women and the dynamic of them growing up, the inner child, of course, too, and then the ego and its development. And during that development, the super ego is what he calls it, being developed, and it really it just amplifies the ego in such a way that, and it really just reminds me. He started a brush on it and everything, so I want to actually delve into this, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there too, as he was talking about similar situations with people. He was talking more about with women and a girl coming up and then like learning that she's pretty and having a mom that's like essentially jealous of it, and the ways in which she punishes and controls her, and then it amplifies and like creates the super ego that imposes itself onto the person, and then is responsible for a lot of these. So I think that might be a cool thing just for you to look into and add into this experience that you've had too.
Yeah. The way I look at it is I love reading or hearing about other people's experience because it gives me a sense of understanding. That never heals me. That never heals me. Right. But it gives me the understanding and awareness to reflect and let whatever's inside of me come up for me. Right. To live that understanding so I actually experience it. And then that experience personally is what heals me. So, and that's the thing is I spent so much of my time reading, researching, and gaining understanding thinking that that was enough. And that's just not enough for me. But then at the same time, I also went at a point in my life where I'm like, I'm only going to experience. I'm not going to read anything. I'm not going to listen to anything. I'm not even going to talk to other people because all of the answers are going to come from me. Right. And now it's like this merge there. Right. I love reading and listening to other people, but realizing that they're just expressing their experience and they have a desire to give you a sense of understanding so that you can experience it for yourself.
I totally agree. And there's like this weird back and forth oscillating that I used to do between, like you're saying, the experiencing and then like huge moments of being a hermit, not talking to anyone, consuming like lots and lots of information. And then like I would just be done with it for like a year or 2 or 3, and then just go and experience, and like whether it was partying or just like working a lot and just experiencing things. And now I feel like I'm really finding this like fine line in between where I'm like doing both. I'm starting to get into that.
Yeah, and really the middle is when you can experience without other people too, right? When you can really just sit with yourself, sit with your breath, sit with your feelings, right? And have your experience of life and your understanding of other people's experiences in life come together in stillness, right? And move through you. That's power. That's powerful.
Something I want to kind of get more into is that I did recently is I hadn't seen a movie in years. And I just like went and saw a movie and then came out. It was like a full moon afterwards and just walked around afterwards and just processed the movie. It was that movie Begonia. It was kind of like a lot to handle, but like I just processed it and thought about it. And I was like, wow, like I never like do this, just having experiences on my own.
Yeah.
That like I don't tell anyone about. Like this is the first I've told anyone about it, really. So, but like I, that I don't tell anyone about, and that I just process on my own, do on my own, and then like having this new type of relationship with myself.
It's good to go do things by yourself. Sometimes it is. A lot of people can't do that, and it seems like a simple thing, but it can create a lot of anxiety. Tyler, I have this question for you.
Yeah.
Do you notice a thread with your splits? A common denominator?
Yes, until my next split.
Okay. Before we get into that, just from what I'm listening to right now of your story of the experience with your father, perfectionism, the way that you had talked with your children, and then, the scary movie, and you're now finally kind of identifying and understanding that child inside of you is there and it's still there, right? And it's so evident too when we came back the first time. You feel like your 8-9-year-old self for the first week when you're back because your soul is so healed. But what I'm noticing, before you bring up the last one, I guess, and I could end up just being completely wrong, this is just what I'm hearing right now, is you throughout this journey, you met that child and you got to maybe have, I think exorcism's kind of like a way too serious of a word, but
totally. I don't think that's what it is. I think I just had a lot of energy and it looked exorcism like.
Yeah, but the safety aspect of this was the question I was going to follow up with. Do you now feel safer that you're back because you got to comfort that child inside of you that didn't feel safe?
Yeah, I think safe is the right word, but trust is the word that came to me, right?
Okay.
I need to trust myself. And I need to trust that being my authentic self is going to lead to ultimate peace and safety, right? I can be more peaceful and more safe being me. In fact, I'll share this quick story real quick. This is cool. I had when I was in the airport hotel, I flew out a day later. So they dropped me off at a hotel by the airport, and there was this pathway, like a road that behind the hotel that I was walking. And when I say I'm somatic, what I do is I literally just close my eyes and let my body just move.
Yeah.
Right. My body just moves, and sometimes my hands move and I walk, and then my body just turns. Right. Like sounds so woo-woo when I say it, but that's really what happens with me. Like I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's like the whole Jesus take the wheel type moment. It's like literally someone else, it feels like. In fact, when I was on the walk, I'm like, is this God? Is this what God is? right? It feels like someone else is grabbing my nervous system and saying, go this way, go this way, go this way. Like that's exactly what it feels like for me, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't really talk about it a lot because it sounds so crazy, but that is the feeling that literally happens. I'll be like looking up, like walking past a coffee shop. I'm like, oh, it's nice. Let's go get a cup of coffee. Nope, we're going this way, you know? And I just surrendered to it. So anyway, I'm walking on this road and all of a sudden, boom, I just turn and I start following this animal path through this really jungly area, and it opens up into this like maybe 6-foot path that I'm walking through, and I see these trees on both sides, and I start feeling cat-like. I start feeling like I'm a panther or a jaguar or a tiger. You know, my body's like moving like I'm that animal, you know, and I'm super hyper aware of everything.
Yeah.
And there's a lot behind that I won't go into that was really healing for me. While I was on that walk, there's this moment where I look at the ground and I'm walking, and all of a sudden I just stop. And I look up and I look into the eyes of this beautiful bird called a mott. It's like a blue and green bird with this long, super skinny tail. And at the end of the tail, it has a bunch of like flowers that make like a heart. And we like look straight at each other for a good 4 or 5 seconds. And then my body starts moving and walking again. And at that exact moment, the bird flies away. And so I looked it up later. I'm like, what does this mean? But what it felt like in the moment was like that mott was a higher version of myself, God, something looking at me like I was the kid in the present moment and saying, you can trust yourself. You are safe. You're doing it right. You don't need to keep hunting. You don't need to keep searching. Just keep being you. You figured it out. You have a lot to figure out, but you figured that out. Just trust yourself and be you. And it was weird because I was always going back to me as a kid, right? Where this is a moment where something came to me and I was the kid. You know, it was a really cool moment.
That is cool. That's such a unique experience.
That kind of makes me think of like a thing I had, which was I've never seen an owl out here in Las Vegas before, and I've never seen one since. But I was going through a period where I needed to make changes, and I was being super resistant to them in my life. And I was already in a period where I had made changes like a year prior, you know, but I went too extreme. I was being like way too healthy and like, you know, I wasn't really living. And I walk outside, I'm heading to the gym at my like complex here. And then I look over on one of these posts that like holds the trees up here, since we have sand and you got to kind of keep them posted. And there's a white owl sitting there, and it was like maybe like 3 feet from me or something like that. And it was that same experience, locked eyes with it for a good like 4 or 5 seconds. And then I was just like, whoa, like, you know, and then it just flew off, and it was a beautiful white owl. And
dude,
I was
that
just
is
like,
so cool.
what happened? Like,
you're lucky that thing
that I went through
out of you.
There's something inside you, you know, that makes it feel different than just seeing an animal. Like there's something to it. I had the same thing. I think on night 3, after the ceremony, I was laying on a hammock and there was this skunk that runs this circle around me and runs right up to me within like 2-3 feet away. We lock eyes.
Oh no.
He turns around, points up his tail, and then just walks away. And I'm like,
that was at Rythmia?
What's that?
That happened at Rythmia?
Yeah, right outside the Maloka.
Holy fuck. I would have shit my pants.
Yeah, I didn't think anything of it other than just be still, you know, be calm.
Yeah, right. Just don't move.
I went to dinner with one of the ladies who's flying out the next day too, and she's like, "Are you kidding me?" She pulls out ChatGPT and sends me like this spirit animal meaning behind it, and I was like, "Dude, what she sent me was exactly what I was feeling in that moment." So
Wow.
it was pretty cool.
It's crazy. And it's like there's this resonance they tap into, of course. And then they like come and seek you out or something, because with the owl, it was like a period of transformation. And when you see an owl like that, and then I like went through a bunch of transformation the next few months.
And the skunk, it was all about boundaries, right? Which was a big part of my experience there. You know, is like I would have this feeling of I just need to trust myself, be confident with myself. I don't need to yell and express my boundaries. I just need to, like, people will know. People will know if I'm confident in me being me, people will know when they're crossing a line, right? And just like a skunk, right? People give the skunk all the boundaries in the world because they don't want to be sprayed. No one messes with the skunk, even though they're tiny and they're silent and they're not ruthless, right? I just had this feeling of like, okay, that's how I do it.
Yeah.
That's how I set boundaries.
Wow.
Just like a skunk.
It's incredible. That's so incredible.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to that final split. Let's hear it.
All right. The final split actually came after I left Rythmia.
Okay.
I went to Chicago for 2 days. So I didn't get home till the following Thursday. And I'm really glad that I had this time alone for integration, because the first time I was trying to integrate at home with other people.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with it, but I needed more time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
especially plugging yourself in as a father and as a husband right away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's got to be difficult.
Yeah. So I would recommend people go to Rythmia, book an extra 3 or 4 days by yourself. You know,
it's good to know
where you can just integrate, you know, and let things keep coming. But what came to me is I kept going back to like the feminine type of dancing and movements that I was having when I was dancing. And one of the nights that I was at Rythmia, I had a wet dream. And I had this dream of these 2 females that were having sex that both grew penises, and they were having they were kind of trans, you know? And I woke up super confused, whoa, what does that mean?
Yeah, right.
You know, what does that mean? And I kind of just brushed it off, didn't really think anything of it until I'm at the airport, and I just start kind of feeling horny, you know? And this might be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's a really important one, healing for me, right? I start
Let's hear it.
I start like grinding the mattress, you know, and like moving all around, and then I get up and I start dancing, you know, and I start doing like all these feminine dances again, right? And then I like lay down, and I didn't ejaculate or anything, right? Like I usually when I feel that sensation, right, I'm like, okay, time to masturbate or time to go find my wife, right? Like, you know,
right.
Where I'm like, I'm just gonna surrender to this, whatever happens happens. And it was just like expression of sexuality that came out in different ways than I ever had. And then it got to the point where I laid down on my bed, and I started like running my hand throughout my whole body, even down to like my butthole, right? And I have never, this is interesting, I've never ever like, other than wiping my butt, felt my butt.
Okay.
Ever, right? Like there have been times where I have had hemorrhoids, right? And I'll like put cream on it or whatever. But like at this time, like I like felt around, you know, and I was just like exploring my body, every part of my body. And I felt very guilty, very guilty. I'm like, and very confused. What does this mean? Does this mean I'm gay? You know, what does this mean? You know? And eventually I went to bed. Actually, this was in the morning. It was like 4 a.m. So I got up and I went on a walk. And I came back and I laid down in bed, and I had another memory of me. I was probably 11 or 12, maybe 13. And I remember laying in bed and having that same exact feeling, this like sexual drive come in me as a new teenager going through puberty. And what did I do? I didn't go tell my parents. Like I pulled down my pants and I started rubbing around my mattress, like all over the place, not like with my hand, but like just I was like moving all over the mattress, just trying to get sensation, you know? And I remember my mom coming in when I was doing that, and I had a blanket on, and she asked what was going on. I remember feeling so much guilt.
Oh, I'm sure.
So much guilt.
I'm sure.
Right. And I lied to her, right? And I don't know what I said, right? But ever since that moment, I've had a lot of guilt around sexuality, period. Period. You know, like if my wife wants to initiate something and I don't feel in the mood, I feel like I have to, right? Like I tend to feel guilt around sexuality all the time, you know? And so because of that moment, I've never allowed myself to explore, sexuality, right? And so I allowed myself for the next 3 days to explore sexuality, and I realized that it wasn't as scary for me as I thought it would be. I became more feminine in my movements, in my thinking, more fluid, more gentle, right? And I allowed this energy to enter into my body that I've never really allowed, that is a big part of me. And I had this purge moment when I was in Chicago where I threw up more than I'd thrown up all of the Rhythmia throw up combined. This was more. Like it was like very liquidy. It was like all the liquid in my body came up.
Wow.
And it was when I had this moment of clarity of Tyler, your authentic self, you embody feminine energy with masculine intensity. That is who you are. And I was like, oh, that's who I am. Like, that's who I am. And I have been suppressing this feminine part of me. It doesn't mean I'm gay, like, right? Like, dude, I even like put myself through mental scenarios of like imagining myself having sex with a guy, imagining being trans, imagining having sex with a trans person, like everything, right? And I was like, no, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel right. Right. But like, it was a feminine energy that I've suppressed and pushed away my entire life, a sexual energy, a fluidity, a gentleness, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is
and there's so much like shame in society around all of this stuff, you know. And then like if there's not the shame, there's like the gesturing and the making fun of it and all that, making all the jokes and the comments and stuff like that. But it's like and Jesse and I were talking about this earlier too. It's just like people are very sexually locked down and with their sexual energy, with sexual blocks, and that's something I've been able to explore with less shame around it than other people. But even I've identified huge sexual blocks this year that I have.
Yeah. You know? Thanks for sharing that. So true. So true. And I had to realize like, I don't express a lot of my sexual energy through my penis, right? I express a lot of it through dance and through movement and through thinking and through thought processes, you know, and through cuddling and through loving, right? And through being open and receiving love. And I've shut down, not only have I locked down sexuality, but I locked down everything subsequently that resulted from that initial lockdown. And I've been working on opening my heart back up, right? And receiving that feminine love, right? And so that's my story, Jesse. It's a longer one, but that kind of culminates my experience at Rythmia and beyond.
Yeah, I think that's a tremendous story. And it seems like you took away a lot more this time around than last time.
I think so. Yeah, they were both needed. They're both
needed. Yes, 100%. But it seems like this is like not the final process, but it seems like you're closer to getting to where you were wanting to go.
Yes, I think so. I think I have a long way to go. I know I do, but you're right. Yeah.
It's like a new understanding too on like the path you're on, I would say.
Yeah, totally.
Tyler, I thank you so much. And is there any closing remarks you'd like to leave with us tonight?
No, I'll let you two leave the closing remarks. I talked so much. I just appreciate you being here and listening to me and supporting me and giving good feedback. You guys are awesome, truly awesome. Like such good people. I love you guys. You guys are so awesome. I hope you guys
likewise, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we love you too. You know, my biggest takeaway from all of this is I see a lot of similarities with you and what you experienced in Rythmia to what I've been experiencing over like the last couple months. And as you know, I have a situation in my life right now where I'm experiencing something where it seems very tense and you know, it feels a little survival to me.
Yeah.
And throughout this process, I've been able to harness a lot of that energy and use it for good, you know. And you know, some of the things that we talked about earlier about just learning certain things about ourselves. It's hearing you talk about Rythmia. It's just super reassuring to me that the integration process is working for myself. So you sharing that story is not only helping you, but it helps me as well. So I'm very thankful for it. And I'm thankful for your time.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm thankful as well. And just want to say, because this is something I've been putting out there, and I'm always like, I'll do it in 2 years. I'll do it in like 2, and it's always like this thing in the distance, even as I dabble in other psychedelics and increase the dosage. I'm always like, oh, but I'm not ready for that. But it's like, you're never really going to be ready, and it's just hearing you talk about it and all that is like, and then supplementing that with, the listening to your body part. It's like, I'll know when I'm ready. And I think this whole period I'm in right now of listening to my body more is a part of that, like knowing when I'll be ready to do it and all that stuff, and just hearing the experience, knowing what to expect, and that surrender too. It's like on a smaller scale, I've done the surrender, but taking heavy doses of psilocybin, but I know it's of course different, much more intense, but just great to have the information on it that you gave and everything.
Yeah, so you know truly. What? There was a guy who very similar to you that was at Rythmia with me, and he was getting a 3rd cup on Yahe night, and he had a decent conversation with the shaman while I was scared shitless, shaking, just waiting for my healing or whatever. But I was listening to the conversation that they were having. And this guy, super, super intelligent, right? And he very, very experienced on his journeys. It was his 2nd time doing ayahuasca, right? But the shaman kept saying something to the effect of, you're further along than you need to be right now, right? You're in your head and beyond your head, which is beautiful. That's where you get to, but you haven't even dropped into your heart yet. Drop into your heart first.
I got huge chills when you said that.
All your other journeys will be much more impactful.
Yeah, and that's like one of the big things. I don't really talk about it that often because people, the energy I give out, and I guess like the ego part of myself, like what I show people, I guess within like astrology we call it like 10th house stuff, but is that like I'm very sensitive and that I'm very loving and all this stuff, but I'm actually like quite emotionally distant and cold.
Yeah.
And I that is like a huge thing I've been working on, is dropping into my heart space. And I've gotten a lot of friends that have helped me out with that I've met through the astrology work and all that. But yeah, I'm very, very mental and like celestial, and I need to really get more grounded and heart centered. And so it gave me chills when you said that. So that's amazing.
Yeah, well, thanks. I felt to share it, and thank you for feeling to share. I mean, maybe that's the reason we're on this call together. Appreciate it.
Really.
It just worked out the way it did, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, anybody is still listening, like, subscribe, comment. Tyler, thank you for sharing once again. Well, I'm sure we'll have you on within the next few months, but again, very, very gracious for you, and thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you guys too. Thank you.